Are we getting a reaction that's coming in from the TMC as well? TMC's Majeed Memon has also hit out at the Prime Minister. He's in fact gone on to say, I'm quoting from what Majeed Memon has said, no statement by the Prime Minister on his efforts. They're just making false propaganda as far as the development story is concerned. Before we go back to Aman, let's listen in to this reaction.
In the course of last 10 years, never a statement has been made by the Government of India or by the Prime Minister himself as to what efforts were making in that direction and where they were obstructed or they genuinely wanted to honor the promise but they could not do it, or they have partly done it, or where are the hurdles. Not a word on that at all. I think it is belying or it is deceiving one's own self by making false propaganda of good performance. People will judge you and people will either support you or would reject you, which would be known very soon when mandate is sought.
So that's the reaction that's coming in from the TMC. Aman continues to be with us. Aman, this is interesting now because the point that the opposition is now making that yes, the Prime Minister can go and give any interview and say that we are extremely confident for 2024, but this is overconfidence and nothing else, because at the end of the day, the mandate will not be decided by any political party, but by the voter. And the opposition, going back to what we were discussing a short while ago, feels that all these announcements that are being made are only on the optics level, but the reality is very different.
Well, absolutely. So I think the opposition's plan for 2024 is very, very clear. They are banking this election on the issue of inflation and price rise and general atmosphere of, hate in the country, as the opposition puts it, that there is a sense of fear and hate in the country. I don't know how much people will buy the second argument of the India alliance, but the first argument, the inflation and price rise, is something which is a strong topic on the ground. If you go across, in fact, travel in the states, I was in Madhya Pradesh recently, traveling across Madhya Pradesh for a story, and there was this sense amongst the people that though, Madhya Pradesh government is giving this 1,000 rupees, 1,250 rupees allowance for women every month, but the LPG cylinder costs very high, it's 1,100 rupees. We've seen the tomato price, we have seen the prices of pulses, and all of this happening, and this is an issue which I think the government has taken serious note of, the inflation issue. In fact, in the last 1 month, if you see, there has been a serious 5-pronged war, I would say, on inflation, the import of pulses, the controlled, the way in which the government procured, be it tomatoes or be it onions, to bring down cool down the price market. I think the government is also very, very aware of this issue, that inflation is something that though India might claim, and Prime Minister has also claimed that inflation in India is lower than the global levels, but inflation is a global phenomenon. People are a bit disturbed by it, and that is why I think that is the prime reason why the government had to intervene and reduce the price of LPG cylinders by rupees 200 for all consumers. And also we have seen this, I would say, this constant attempts to bring down inflation by intervention into the direct market, be it for onions, tomatoes, pulses, so that the market cools down. There is obviously in the Himachal elections, in the Karnataka elections, the prices of essential commodities and out of the cylinder were a big issue, and some in the BJP privately even admit that the Karnataka election was mainly lost because of the high price of LPG cylinders. In fact, I remember DK Shivkumar putting the LPG cylinder right in the press conference hall and doing a puja of it before every press conference to show that LPG cylinder prices are high. So in a way, and also in poll-bound states, now Mr. Kamal Nath, Mr. Ashok Gehlot, of the Congress leaders from Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh already promising LPG cylinders at rupees 500. So in a way, this is a big issue amongst the people, but PM clearly saying that they are not going to go for these freebies. Obviously, when people are in a bit of a bother, they will reduce prices for LPG cylinders by rupees 200 as they did. They will try and control the prices of onions and tomatoes and the pulses, but they will not go for these blatant freebies because the PM says it is not good for the economy, and the long term it will destroy the economy.
Yeah, Aman, we'll just request you to stay on with us. I want to also bring in our colleague Arunima, who's joining us on the broadcast. Arunima, good morning. Taking on from the point that Aman was making as far as price rise and inflation is concerned, it's very clear that that is the narrative that the opposition wants to use to hit out at the central government. And they're saying, just take a look at what's happened just in the last few weeks and months. Look at prices of basic vegetables, which is an essential for every household. So while the government can come out and do press conferences and interviews saying that, India has done a lot better than some of the other economies, the ground reality is very different, and that reality needs to change as far as the voter is concerned.
Yes, and that's the sentiment that I got on the ground as well as I travel through Rajasthan and also Madhya Pradesh, two of the poll-bound states. That's the sentiment. Even those who are, supporting of the current government, supporting of the Prime Minister's leadership, very upbeat about the Vishwa Guru, image that the country is creating. Even they, if you scratch beneath the surface, they will tell you that their living standard, their cost of living is something that is worrying them. The fact that the LPG cylinders cost had gone up, their daily essentials had gone up, electricity, water supply, these basic bijli pani issues as they are called on the ground. That is something that at least at the local level elections people are talking about. These are talking points, and it was much appreciated in Uttar Pradesh election, for example, which happened soon after COVID. During the COVID pandemic also, there were ration packets that were distributed, and those have been continued. They have been appreciated by the women voters specifically. If you give them 5 kilograms of free rice and 1 liter of mustard oil along with some other basic essentials, that makes a huge difference to the way a woman runs the household, and therefore that sentiment is reflected on the ground. And the Prime Minister has said that freebies are not good for the economy, but I think politically speaking, these realities from the ground have also been factored in by the Bharatiya Janata Party.
Yeah, Arunama, we'll just request you to stay on with us. There's lots to discuss. Some other reactions also now coming in.
G20 की जो मीटिंग होने वाली है इस यहाँ पे, उसकी प्रेजेंसी हम कर रहे हैं, लेकिन भारत आज पूरे विश्व की बात कर रहा है. हम 140 लोगों की बात भी कर रहे हैं, लेकिन पूरे वर्ल्ड की बात कर रहे हैं. सबका साथ, सबका विश्वास, सबका प्रयास, सबका जो चीजें हैं वो आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं. हम किस तरह से इस चीज को देखते हैं?
विश्व की नजर भी भारत पर रहती है, और खास करके सबका साथ, सबका विकास, सबका प्रयास और विश्वास की जो बात कही है, भारत ने इस कारण से हमारी जो इकोनॉमी है वो भी बढ़ रही है, हमने उसको भी कंट्रोल रखा, उसी के कारण से पूरे विश्व को हम पर विश्वास बना है. इन सभी चीजों को देखते हुए कारण ये इसका रहा कि पहले सरकारें आती थी, मिले जुले गठबंधन आते थे, ब्लैकमेलिंग करते थे, लूट मची थी, जो सोचता था वो आ गया. लेकिन स्टेबिलिटी जो विशेष करके भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार ने दी है और पूरे बहुमत के साथ दी है, उसी का परिणाम है कि सही निर्णय लेने में हम सक्षम रहे, और प्रधानमंत्री ने इस बात को उजागर किया.
शिवानंद जी, प्राइम मिनिस्टर मोदी ने हमारे नेटवर्क को इंटरव्यू दिया है, उन्होंने कई मुद्दों पे बात करी. उन्होंने कहा है कि जो इन्फ्लेशन रेट है, इन्फ्लेशन को कंट्रोल करने के लिए बहुत सारी पॉलिसीज़ आई हैं और बहुत सारे स्टेप्स लिए गए हैं. जैसे कि हाल फिलहाल रक्षाबंधन में ही एलपीजी के दामों में कटौती की गई है. कैसे देखते हैं इस स्टेटमेंट?
देखिए, इंडिया गठबंधन बना, उसके बाद जो है एलपीजी के कीमत में कटौती किया, 200 रुपया उन्होंने घटाया. लेकिन आप ये देखिए कि जिस समय इंटरनेशनल मार्केट में जो कच्चा तेल था उसकी कीमत जो है कितनी घट गई. मनमोहन सिंह जब प्रधानमंत्री थे उस समय इंटरनेशनल मार्केट में मैंने कच्चे तेल की कीमत जो है 70-75-100 बैरल प्रति डॉलर को लांघ गई थी. उसके बावजूद भी ग्राहकों को 70 रुपये, 72 रुपये, 80 रुपये के बीच लीटर के में पेट्रोल और डीजल मिलता रहा. सरकार जो है जो टैक्स लेती है तेल पर, उस टैक्स को बढ़ाया और कंज्यूमर को उसका लाभ नहीं दिया. आप देख लीजिए, अभी कह रहे हैं कि हम जो है उसको कंट्रोल करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. ये इलेक्शन के समय जिसको फ्री बी आप कहते हैं, वो फ्री बी के ही तरह का ये है. ये चुनावी जैसे फ्री बी की आलोचना कर रहे हैं, उसी तरह की ये बात है.
देखिए, देश की जनता आज जब वो बेरोजगारी और महंगाई पर सवाल पूछ रही है, देश के प्रधानमंत्री जी से पूछ रही कि नारा दिया था बहुत हुई महंगाई की मार, अब की बार भाजपा सरकार, बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ का नारा, 2 करोड़ रोजगार का नारा, उन नारों का क्या हुआ, उन वादों का क्या हुआ? देश के प्रधानमंत्री जी को बेरोजगारी, महंगाई, किसानों की समस्या पे जवाब देना चाहिए.
इंटरव्यू में उन्होंने कहा है कि महंगाई रोकने के लिए उन्होंने कई कदम उठाए, लेकिन कई देशों के साथ मिलकर काम करने की जरूरत है महंगाई रोकने के लिए.
अब भारत में महंगाई रोकनी है तो आपको विदेशी देशों की मदद लेनी पड़ेगी. ये तो पहला नया फार्मूला हम नरेंद्र मोदी जी के ज़ुबान से सुन रहे हैं. आप बताइए कि जब हमारे देश में 80 करोड़ लोग इस देश के अंदर, जो कि जिनकी तादाद पहले करीब 30 से कुछ 32 करोड़ थी जिनको हम राशन दिया करते थे, जो गरीबी रेखा से नीचे थे। लेकिन आज पूरे देश में 80 करोड़ लोग अगर लाइन में लगे हैं, इसका मतलब तो यही है ना कि उनकी हालत खस्ता है, हालत ख़राब है भारत के लोगों की। तो 140 करोड़ में 80 करोड़ लोग राशन ले रहे हैं तो कुछ कहने की ज़रूरत नहीं है। लेकिन सवाल ये है कि हम जब इन देशों के साथ मिलते हैं तो हमारी डिप्लोमेसी क्या है, हमारी विदेश नीति क्या है। अभी ब्रिक्स, जिसके हम अहम एक चैप्टर हैं, ब्रिक्स में क्या हुआ साउथ अफ्रीका में, नरेंद्र मोदी जी फोटो सेशन करा रहे थे। नरेंद्र मोदी जी जब वहाँ पर डिनर कर रहे थे तो चीन अपने देश का नक्शा एक नया बना रहा था, और उस नक्शे में क्या हुआ कि अरुणाचल प्रदेश को चीन ने अपना दिखा दिया। तो जब हम चीन के साथ वहाँ बैठे हैं तो प्रधानमंत्री जी से पूरा देश ये उम्मीद रख रहा था, भारत की सेना ये उम्मीद रख रही थी कि चीन का जो आक्रमण का रवैया है उस पर प्राइम मिनिस्टर कोई सख्त बात बोलेंगे, लेकिन हमने ब्रिक्स में तो नहीं देखा।
Well, multiple opposition reactions coming into that exclusive interview that the Prime Minister has given to us here at Money Control. We'll continue to get you excerpts right through the day. For now, slipping into a very short break.